Good morning. I want to put a few words out there in response to this growing debate, discussion in the group. Thank you, Neely, for posting this article about adolescents and their desire to connect and share their feelings in light of early childhood experiences of isolation, timeouts. I want to say that sometimes a toddler can piss you off so much, and their behavior can be so outlandish that the only reaction that seems helpful is to toss them in the room for their safety and yours. Sometimes it's just like that. Sometimes the behavior is so unacceptable that the only, the clearest message I can make is that this is not allowed. And this is what happens. This is not allowed. I know that feeling. And sometimes I think it's okay. I gotta be honest. Sometimes I think it's the only thing that's going to work. It mirrors the intensity of the child's experience and other things. But here's the question, and I think this is the root of good morning, Miriam. This is the root of the disparity in opinions. And I don't think it has anything to do with the kids, and I don't think it has anything to do with child psychology directly. I think it has to do with our psychology as the parent who themselves was once the child. And here's what I mean. What if my child acts in a way that is so unacceptable that it creates in me an emotion that I can't regulate? What if I'm the one who struggles to regulate her emotions? What if what my child is doing isn't so outlandish? What if what they're doing is actually regular developmental behavior of a toddler, and it's me who is having trouble regulating her emotion? Is it fair for me to isolate my child? No, it's not fair to the child, and it's not fair to me. Using my child and distance and withdrawal to help me regulate, it's not fair. And mostly, not because there's something wrong with me, but mostly because I'm not honoring my own experience. I'm not giving myself permission to say, whoa, this is too much for me. Whoa. What we tend to do as parents, and is often done to us as children, was that we point the finger at the child and say the problem is with the child. We throw them on a spectrum, we try to pick them apart, we try to figure out, what's wrong with them. What's normal, Miriam asks. How do you know what's normal? That's a really great question. First of all, do your research. Do you figure, Google, Dr. Google is really a very great resource. You can ask me. But I think we also know instinctually that toddlers are basically, just learning about themselves in the world, and they're seeing reactions to things. They want to see how things work. They're very impulsive. They are, I don't want to say slaves to, but they are sensitive to their physical desires, their physical impulses, hunger, sleep, wanting something. For adults, it turns into it's sex, right? and adults have to curb those desires. Children are like, I want this candy right now, and I have to have it right now, the second. And you're like, you can't. That's not how it works, right? Like, that's not how human beings work. That's how animals work. And what is different between a human parent-child relationship and an animal relationship is that the animal is not socially acceptable. That's what we call the superego, where the parent comes and says, socially, that's not acceptable. The id, right, going back to like Freud's ideas, is like, I want right now, and I want all this, and I'm the center of it, and I'm the most important. Those are toddlers, guys. That's what you signed up for. No one told you, but that's what a little child is. And I know that it drives me nuts sometimes, because I've got stuff going on in my own head that I'm working through. And it's just plain annoying. Sometimes it's just annoying. It takes a lot of patience, I think that the patience, if you persevere, is really worth it. And I think that's the importance of the article that Neely shared, is that if we stick with it and we do the work on ourselves to understand developmentally what's going on for our child, and asking myself, what's going on for my kid right now? And not just developmentally, but also emotionally, what's going on for them right now. In order to do that, and I'm working with a woman right now, and only now is she able to really, she gets the developmental, she gets it. She's like, I get it. I know that he's just a kid and he just has lots of questions, but I just lose my shit on him all the time. Because why? Because, I had a death in the family, and because I wasn't valued as a child, and because I feel so alone because I have no partner in this world, and because I'm struggling to keep my head above water, and I'm feeling very heavy emotionally. I'm having trouble regulating my my distress and my grief and all the things that are happening for me, really strong emotions. So until we tap into that and we give space for ourselves, how are we going to give space to our children? And how are they going to grow up to feel like there was ever space for them and then to take space? Miriam, you asked until what age am I referring to? I think you popped that question in when I was talking about this impulsive. Developmentally, by the age of 8, 9, children develop more empathy. So they have a better sense of, it starts around 6, it starts around grade 1, but it's growing slowly. It's a process, growth, right? That's what growth is. It's not like pop it in the microwave and it's done in 3 minutes. It's a growth. And over time, starting from about age 6, children develop a stronger sense of the other. This, of course, is there's a really great word for this, and I can't think of it. This is supported. It's not the word I'm looking for, but it's supported by the relationships they have with their caregivers. So if I'm attuned to my child, then they're better equipped to attune to other people. They're better equipped to sort of the wiring is set and the mechanisms operate better. And like my relationship with my kids like the oil in the machine. And if their machine is oiled, it runs better, right? So my connection with them is like oil. No, Rena, they don't have, so they'll show, okay, so what is, empathy, right? From birth, children are attuned to their caregivers, and they are attuned to the connection. So there's an attunement there, but it's more because they need a sense of safety and they need a sense of for their existence and connection within their body, to connect what's going on to their body with the outside world. That gives them a sense of order, gives them a sense of containment, right? Feeling contained in their bodies. That's why swaddling is so great, because it gives kids a sense of containment. This is why children on the autism spectrum, they have different brains. The brains operate differently, and relationships are different. It operates differently, but it's because a human brain needs that containment. Now, empathy is something that develops over time through relationships. A child who is not related to from birth lacks empathy. That is one of the consequences of orphanages. For example, the Romanian orphanages, which are known, that came from the fall from communism, where women weren't permitted to use birth control, and so there were a lot of unwanted pregnancies, and babies in hordes were left at the doors of orphanages, and they were overrun with babies. There was like one carer to 40 babies, and basically babies had very little human interaction, adult interaction. They were changed and they were prop-fed, and that was pretty much it. These children grew up to have, depending on when they left the orphanage and were adopted out, they had impaired, not just only physical impairments, delays, and cognitive delays, what we would call in the 90s mental retardation. I don't know if we use that word anymore. They would have cognitive delays. They also had emotional delays. They had trouble bonding. They couldn't bond. And bonding is, empathy is part of relationships. Empathy is a quality of relating, right? I mean, if you think about it, there's no empathy if there's no other person. And empathy is the ability to feel into another person. Children are pretty much self-centered. They're wired that way because they're small and vulnerable, and they need to be thinking about themselves to stay safe. Right? My job as a parent, and I wrote a post, I think I put it on my wall. I didn't think I put it in the group, but maybe I'll share it in the group. Is my job as a parent is to look after my kid. Their job is not to look after me. Empathy is the act of having someone else in mind. Their job is not to have me in mind. They're not wired that way, because that's not how it works. I keep them in mind, and I take care of them. They feel safe, they feel being felt, and through that they develop the ability to have empathy, to feel into other people. That happens around the age 6. There are 6, let's say 6, and this type of empathy. So back to the debate quickly. Actually, I want to check my watch because I don't know if I'm this. Sorry, guys. Oh no, I have 1 more minute. So back to this debate. A really important question we need to ask ourselves is not what is my kid doing and how should I respond. The question is this: when my kid does this, how do I feel about it? When my kid does that, what's my emotional reaction? How do I experience my emotional reaction to my child? Am I tuned into it? Do I even recognize that I have an emotional reaction? What are the first thoughts that come into my mind? Can you pinpoint them? Can you say, when my son does this, I think, you little shit, I hate you? Can you say that? Because if you can't, then you need to do the work to figure it out. There's work to be done. And that helps us regulate our own emotions. And when we feel regulated, we're in a better position to experience our children's behavior and see it from their point of view, because that's what we need to do. It's when we see it from their point of view, and I think that's the essence of the debate in the group, is that are we only looking at the behavior alone, or are we looking at the behavior as an expression of an inner experience? And the question is, it's both. Sometimes it's just behavior because it's impulsive behavior and it's just rooted in a desire, I want. And sometimes it's rooted in a I need. And we need to be able to tell the difference. And the only way I can do that is to recognize it in myself, is to know that in myself. And to do that, I need to be able to self-regulate. A big question here is, how was I raised? What was my experience of being parented? Was I attuned to? Was I felt? That will also give you a key into whether or not you're equipped. It's not a bad thing if you're not. It's actually good if you feel like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm doing. I feel really dysregulated when my kids act up. I feel really out of control. It's okay, because if you know it, you can deal with it. It's the parents who don't realize it who are in trouble. They're the ones whose children come to me later in adulthood and say, my mother never even paid attention. She never even thought about it. So if you're thinking about it, good for you. If you're feeling out of control, that's okay. Stay in the group, get in touch with me, and I'll give you some resources that I have that are free online that you can use, and you can use this group as well. I gotta go. I've got a client. I'll see y'all later. Have a wonderful day, everyone. See you in the group. Bye for now.